Welcome back to Radiant Memoirs. And on today's episode, we're going to be talking about boundaries. I'm your co host, Raisha, and to the right of me, we have
your other co-host, Tia B. And we have a lot to discuss today. So we want to get started in our first question.
Let's get it.
Let's get it. Alrighty, we're going to jump to it. So, how do you navigate building healthy relationships being a Black woman? I think it's a great point for us to start from.
Yeah.
Because we're both Black women.
Yep.
And, we're talking about boundaries. Yep. And if you went back and watched our few episodes, we were talking about self-love, navigating relationships, navigating how we view things on therapy, this, that, and the third. Yep. So when it comes to building healthy relationships, how have you done that? What has been kind of like the steps you've taken to do that?
Taking accountability. You have to take accountability in your relationships, friendships, whatever. Because if you do something to upset the next person or what have you, and if it's someone that you love, have a conversation with them. It's just that simple. Communication is key in everything, in friendships, relationships, whatever. Communication is key. You have to communicate your feelings. You have to be able to let the other person know how you feel, how it affected you, and then also how to move forward with it. Mm-hmm. So I would say that going to therapy has really helped me. Mm-hmm. Try to navigate what those look like, what healthy relationships look like. And sometimes it could be saying, okay, I'm not in the right headspace today. Hey, if I want to call someone, I ask my friends, hey, what type of headspace are you in? Are you okay? Mm-hmm. Because I don't want to call my friend and be like, girl,
guess what happened?
Yeah. Right. And they're already in a bad space. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So it's like doing it like a checkpoint, mm-hmm. like testing the temperature. Like, where are you mm-hmm. today? Do you feel like you can take on my problems, or can I vent to you for a second? Like, can we have a sisterhood moment? And it's so crazy because me and one of my girlfriends, we do that a lot. Like, we'll call each other and we're mm-hmm. like, can I just vent for a second? Like, are you okay? Can I vent for just 1 second? Mm-hmm. And of course, I'm always going to say yes, even if I'm not in a great headspace, mm-hmm. because I just feel like they need me to build those healthy relationships. You have to take accountability. You have to know yourself first mm-hmm. and foremost, because you don't want to be in a relationship where your friend is envious of you or the person that you're with is envious of you, because then it starts dwelling down in self-identity and other issues. Okay. Mm-hmm. So taking accountability, knowing who you are, but also accepting who that person is as well. Mm-hmm. Because so many times we go into relationships feeling mm-hmm. like, I need this person to be this, and this for me. Mm-hmm. And that's in not just friendship, but relationships as well. And it's like, if you don't know what that person needs from you, then how can you fully fulfill that friendship or that relationship? You know, mm-hmm. like me and you, for example, we're very vocal about what our desires are as far as what we want our friendship to look like. And I feel like that is so important in building a friendship, mm-hmm. because for one, we've already set our foundation, mm-hmm. and we can build upon that. And then even if things come up, which they are, we can talk about it and we can move past it. And I just feel like a lot of people aren't honest with the people that they're in relationship with or friendships with, mm-hmm. because they feel like, oh, I don't want to upset them. But it's like, why? How is it upsetting if you're being hurt in the process?
Well, I agree with everything you say. I feel like when it comes to relationships and understanding boundary setting, like you say, you have to heart check yourself first. Where are you at? Yeah. You know, understanding like what you can take on, what you can't take on. You can't form relationships with just everybody and anybody. Yeah. But first and foremost, you have to check the relationship you have with yourself. I really had to ask myself, I was like, well, what kind of relationships do I want? More so, how do I want to show up in those relationships? Yeah. With everything I have going on right now? Am I ready for one? Mm-hmm. Whether with a friend or like with a partner? Do I even have the capacity to be able to show up for my own self, balancing those? Because it's all about balance, and it's all about making time and actually showing up, giving effort to those relationships that you that you care about, that you value. And the first one you have to check is with your own self, which I did. I think another cool part of what you said is that after you do that, you also have to see where to go from there. Yeah. You know, who you want to talk to, what you want to do. But also, when it comes to your boundaries, you have to be honest with yourself for real. Like, and sometimes that's not the easiest thing to do. And for me, it took me a while to understand how to set boundaries because I didn't know before. Yeah. I thought being a good friend was giving my all into the relationship. I was doing that for so many years, not understanding that there are some people that exist that do not give that back. Yeah. You know, and it left me with a void for a very long time. I had to literally pick up the pieces and learn how to set more boundaries in place so I don't go back to those same cycles again. Yeah. And it takes a lot of work. It takes effort. For me, I had to learn how to be more clear, compassionate. Yes, compassionate, more compassionate about to myself. And I had to learn how to, I guess, compromise. Yeah. In relationships, you have to compromise. Yeah. And I had to realize that I really wasn't the person to compromise, and that was me being selfish. Yeah. You know, so once I learned how to rework my perspective on relationships and on boundaries and how to set them, that was when I had, you know, came up with those 3 C's. They have been pivotal in how I changed the way how I view my relationships now, and also how I give myself to other people. Right. And share, you know, maybe my experiences, or share how I view certain things, or maybe even share like my own resources and stuff. You know, I view that so differently now. I give without expecting to receive anything in return. Yes. Yes. That is so important. Yes. But I also give understanding that not everybody is deserving of those gifts that you give. And you will give it to the people who know that when it's received, it's something that comes with value. I learned who those people were in my life.
It doesn't have to be monetary either.
It doesn't. It doesn't. You know? Like you said before, it could be time. Right. And time is so precious. And it's one of those things that I think people take for granted. And I was one of those people. I took time for granted. So many times I could have reached out to maybe a family member. I could have spoken to somebody, maybe because we fell out or whatever have you. And I chose not to. And, you know, going back, it's funny how you said in our last episode about time traveling. Going back, I wish I would have had these skills and these new tools that I have right now to apply them to who I was before. But I wasn't as mature back then to understand, you know, how to set a boundary, or how to, I guess, nurture and grow your relationship.
But that leads us into our next question, which is, how do you personally craft and maintain your boundaries?
How do you, well, I can answer the first part. How do you personally craft? Again, checking yourself first. Yep. You can't create anything if you don't check yourself first. Yeah. Figure out where you are at with your heart, mentally, with your mind, if you're even ready for something like that. If you're even ready to accept criticism. Right. If you're even ready to give a part of yourself to somebody. Because if you're in a relationship, like literally you have to give up something to get something. Yeah. You know, so you have to understand like what kind of sacrifices you're also making to maybe be with that person, or to maybe have that relationship with that person. And maybe understand that maybe there aren't any sacrifices you need to make. Maybe that sacrifice has to be with you letting go of that selfishness. Yeah. Literally, that's probably what that sacrifice is. And or at least that's what it was for me. I had to let go of being selfish. And being a selfless person that I am right now, it's allowed me to transform myself. Yeah. And I love this life more. I would say that I love this life more. Yeah. This one. You know, so yeah, just checking yourself, and then after that you put together that framework or that I guess thing that works for you. For me, it was my 3 C's, and I based those, or I came to those based off of how I viewed my relationships at the time, and also where I wanted to take them in the future. So I kind of put together my own personal action plan for what I wanted to do to improve my relationships, but most importantly, my relationship with me, and also my relationship with God now. So, yeah. And how do you maintain that? Through God. I have become even more, I think, even more motivated to be present in my relationships because I found somebody who is always present in mine. I also value and acknowledge those boundaries that I set now. I have that now for myself, and it's beautiful because I didn't have that before, especially during a time when I knew I needed it. I think everything was perfect timing. What about you? How did you craft your boundaries, and also how do you maintain them?
My boundaries are forever changing.
Ooh.
They are forever changing. So maintaining them is, I would probably say I still struggle with that a little bit because for a long time, I didn't know when you set a boundary, it applies to everything and everyone. But I would not uphold those boundaries with certain people. And it's like, these boundaries aren't for them, they're for me, to protect me, so that I don't dwell into a dark hole or go back into a depression or what have you. So they're solely for me. So it's like, how are you protecting yourself if you are still allowing these people to overstep these boundaries that you've already created for yourself? And it was showing up, and I feel like as far as like maintaining them, it probably goes into that. Maintaining them, I had to tell myself, like, if you're wanting to have a peaceful life, one of structure, one of discipline, one of keeping and holding yourself accountable, then you have to abide by your boundaries that you have set for yourself. I feel like that goes into like crafting it too, because when you know better, you want to do better.
You're not ignorant to it.
Exactly. So it's like, me being a person that I am now, it's like, I don't want to go back to that person that I was. So that is me crafting it. Like, this is what I will and will not allow. You won't talk to me crazy. You won't treat me any kind of way, especially when, I love you and I don't do that to you. So you won't do it to me. And I'm very firm in that. As far as maintaining them is, sometimes I'll tilt, tilt. For certain people, but I feel like I have been I've been very patient with myself because
give yourself grace.
And it's like, it's not a race. Like, you don't have to narrow this down or have it all together today. Like at the end of like by midnight. So it's like, I'm still a work in progress on maintaining them, but I feel like I'm one step closer than it was yesterday. Last week or last year. So I'm just chucking it one day at a time, 1 second at a time, and one situation at a time. I'm not trying to fix everything in one day. I just want to go at my own pace. So that brings us into our next question, which is, are you in control of your boundaries, or are they in control of you?
I'm in control of my boundaries. And I say that more specifically because I identified what kind of boundaries I wanted to have first. And then I asked myself personally why I wanted to have them in the first place. And ultimately, through that like 3-step process, it allowed me to hold my own self accountable to making sure I maintained those boundaries, but also that I didn't breach them. And if I did, normal, sometimes I may go back on certain things, and that's okay. But I try to make sure to keep those non-negotiables in, because it's fitting to my character now, my character development now. And because I have those certain things in place, I recognize that my boundaries can't control me because I'm not willing to go and do more than what I can give.
Right.
And that's very important, you know, because I don't want to go back to overgiving or overextending myself again. What about you? Are you in control of your boundaries, or are they in control of you?
I would say that I kind of toggle between the two. I'm in between.
Okay.
And it's only because I feel like, for the most part, before I would set the boundaries, understanding that, okay, these are for me.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to certain things, people, and situations, I would kind of like toggle on the fence and I'm like, it's okay this time. But then it's like the boundaries are there for you to protect yourself and protect your self identity and how you show up in the world. So I feel like identifying also like the energies and how I was feeling and acknowledging those was me pushing forward in the right direction, more so honoring myself, you know.
Ooh, I love that.
Because for a long time, like I said, I was just whatever. It's okay. They're just angry. But it's like, people need to know when like something they did or said didn't sit well with you, you know? Like, don't just push it up on the rug. Like, talk about it immediately.
Or hold it in.
Yeah.
Because it can manifest into other things.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So,
and that's beautiful, because I feel like also in relation to what you said is you recognizing that you're not just a whatever.
yeah.
Your name, your body, like who you are, it holds so much more, you know, weight to it because of who lives in you.
Yeah.
You know, and we all know that's God.
Exactly.
So you want to kind of show people, hey, this is how you talk to me now.
Yeah.
This is how you interact with me now. And that's okay to show people that in a very compassionate, very kind way. And you don't have to be ashamed about that. Yep. And if people try to make you feel bad about that, that just tells you all you need to know about that relationship or that person.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You hit it right on the tee.
Yeah.
I love that. And that goes into our Radiant Bank question. You ready?
I am.
All right. Is there such a thing as doing too much for relationships? And I didn't say in, I said for relationships. So what you think?
Absolutely.
There is,
there is a such thing as doing too much for relationships, but also too, it's like knowing when to stop yourself. You know, like having a limit when doing too much. But shout out to my man, honey, because the kid is gonna get me right every single time. Like, nope, not gonna do that because I already know how this gonna end. Like, you gonna put your all into this, and you're not gonna. Basically, having high expectations for people and like looking for you in other people.
Yeah, ooh,
but
that's the one.
I had to learn like people are not gonna do everything that how I do it, you know. So I would say yes, there is a certain thing is doing too much in a relationship or for a relationship, because sometimes it's not going to be reciprocated. But if you are okay with not getting that same result in return every single time, then maybe they may be for you. But for me, I love how people show up for me. I love how people show up for me. I love how people will call me or text me and be like, I know today's a big day for you. Like, I wish you all the luck in the world. And it's genuine, you know? So I don't mind going out my way to do things for people that do things like that for me, because it's like, it shows me that you love me, that you care for me, and you genuinely support me in whatever I have going on. So,
yeah, and I honestly agree. It comes from that community of relationships that you develop. Yeah, and keyword healthy relationships though, because if you're in an honest, genuine, committed, mutualistic relationship, it's not going to cause you to do too much. It's going to cause you to do just enough, because you have that enough already within you. Right. It's the love of Jesus Christ. Like, he lives within us. And that is something that extends more than money, more than jewels, more than probably keying somebody's car. Just understand that is in the past. It doesn't have to define who you are or where you are right now. So if you out here doing that, we got to do better, sis. It's okay, you know, but
we're not focusing on the past.
We're not. And even though we may not understand the situation, we may understand what led you there. And it's the fact that you probably weren't getting what you're putting out. Yeah. back.
But we're gonna do better because when you know
are.
better, you do better. So
You do.
Sis, we're not keying people's cars, okay?
We're not. Please don't do that.
We're leaving them where they are with the car intact, okay? Because I guarantee you, God gonna spin the block about you, okay?
He will.
He gonna spin the block about you.
Yes, we're doing better. There's so much power in you making the decision to let go and let God.
Yep.
Because He will replace those broken relationships with ones that are much more meaningful, much more impactful, and much more directional to where you're going in life.
Absolutely.
There is such a thing as doing too much for relationships, and please make sure you aren't. Okay. And that leads us to the last portion of our episode. This has been a very, I think, informative, very witty discussion. I feel like we were also able to share about our personal experiences as it relates to boundary setting. Yeah. It's not the most easiest thing that we're able to do, but we want you to know that if we're able to do it, you can do it too.
Absolutely.
And it all starts from you just showing the effort to do it by first asking yourself those kinds of questions that you need to ask. So, to close this out, Rachel, you already know. Go ahead. You all can follow us on
Facebook, Instagram,
TikTok. YouTube
Spotify.
and Spotify.
Yes.
Yes, we would love for you to stay connected on our journey as we grow as podcasters, but more so as businesswomen in Christ and also as friends too, and sisters. So we would love more than anything for you all to follow us along that journey, and so you can be a part of that and grow with us too. We look forward to having you back again next episode. So until then, peace, love, and light to you all.
I love that.
And we'll catch you later.
Bye.
Take care.